Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. I want to dive into the topic of the streams of consciousness that you create, and why those of you who work really hard on yourselves in self-growth and elevation, in healing, in changing. Think about this. You want to change your programs that are sabotaging, your wounds that are unhealed. You want to heal. All of that means you want to change. You want transformation, actual transformation. You have to understand what transformation actually means. That is on an energetic level in order to experience quote unquote permanent healing. You are not healed if you don't go through a transformation. And here's why it can seem really hard to change. There's two main factors in this. And the first I'm only going to mention briefly because it's not the main topic for today. Change isn't hard, it's painful. When you're healing, it isn't hard to heal for the most part. It's just painful. So part of what you experience is the pain of it. We are brainwashed and conditioned by society, by the way that we've grown up in this crazy psychotic world that's run by psychopathic people, to be in nothing but powerlessness. So you feel emotional pain, agony, the trauma, and you don't think you can handle it. You don't think you can move through it. I can't take this. You've been conditioned to show up in nothing but powerlessness. That is never a judgment. That's the conditioning of our society. That's what they quote unquote do to us. We grow up that way. And then all of a sudden we have these painful emotions, grief, the trauma, the fear, the whatever. And we don't think we can get through it and heal. So the first part of this, I want to acknowledge it, is that change isn't hard in that sense. It's just painful. And once you learn how to energetically connect to the light, to the power that you are, you alchemize, you nurture, you support, you honor the pain with the way of unconditional love, with the way of patience, with the way of surrender, with the way of connection, with the way of compassion, harmlessness, and gentleness, with, the level of harmony to the best of your ability that you can become. All of these beautiful ways of oneness you bring to your pain, and you're allowing that energy to alchemize because you're bringing those higher vibrational frequencies to it. Okay. That is everything that we teach you how to do at an energetic level, how to master that at an energetic level at mastersofselfuniversity.com. That's our school. That's our mystical university. These are our coaching programs and the things that we teach you. Okay. So I want to make that very clear. Now that I've made that distinction, I'm going to put it aside. Okay. Because for the rest of this episode, I'm not talking about the part of the truth of why it seems so hard to heal or change or elevate or get rid of your programming or your traumas, they're unhealed, etc., is because they're so painful. Now that you understand that briefly, and if you followed me for more than a minute, you understand what I've just offered to you in this, okay? If you're new to this for some reason, and this is the first time you're hearing it, don't worry. You'll still understand what I'm going to offer in the rest of this episode, but keep learning, because that first part of what I said is really critical and really important. Your ability to move through pain, and it doesn't mean suck it up, buttercup. It doesn't mean tough it out. Never. That locks your pain in there. It doesn't allow it to heal. There's a level of resistance and rigidity there. Okay. So again, all energetics that I'm speaking. And when you begin to understand what it really means to love in the way of unconditional love, in the way of honoring of your pain, in the way of compassion, harmlessness, and gentleness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the ways of oneness. When you bring those vibrational frequencies that you are, in fact, becoming yourself, then you are alchemizing, you are transforming your pain. Okay. So if you want help doing that, go to mastersofselfuniversity.com, get a free consultation. We'll walk you through it, talk you through it, let you know how it works. And then you can see if, you and I are a good fit to work together, meaning Masters of Self University, our coaches and you. Okay. Now I'm going to put that on the side. And for the rest of this episode, I am going to talk to you about the streams of consciousness that you create. And yes, I'm still teaching you about energetics and how energetics actually work. So here's the first thing I'm going to say about it. You are a divinely powerful, incredible creator being. You just don't realize it yet to the degree with which I am speaking to you about. And over time, when you dive into the kind of work that we offer, the kind of teachings of oneness consciousness that I offer, you elevate higher and higher to realize, let that sink in on a deeper level, what that actually means. It isn't anything that your ego can grasp and do anything with except either deny it or become grandiose about it. That's what ego does. You're like, oh, I'm not powerful. And you sink into your powerlessness programs. Or you become very grandiose. Oh, I know how special and powerful I am. That's what ego does with that statement. Over time, the more you alchemize, transform, dissolve that shadow self, that egoic self, and you become more elevated, a little bit more enlightened, and then a little bit more enlightened, a little bit more becoming of the universal ways of oneness, that highest level of enlightenment we can become as human beings in a lifetime. The more you elevate your level of consciousness in the becoming of an enlightened being, it starts to sink in more deeply what that actually means to say you are a divinely powerful creator being. You don't yet realize the energetic power that you actually have. You are creating all of the time. We are just locked in an old framework, an old matrix of dysfunction and separation and powerlessness and hate and greed and all the things, a system of enslavement. And because we're still trying to pull out of that, rise and alchemize and heal and elevate out of that, you're not yet realizing the level of power that you have to create. And I am not talking about go do your manifestation crap. Don't just ignore all the things that you've learned. And I'm not saying some of it isn't beautiful and important and wonderful. I'm not saying that. I'm saying ignore it. Do not bring that into this teaching because it won't help you. It will not serve you. Okay. I'm not talking about quote unquote just manifesting stuff. Okay. And of course, there's an overlap to that, but I want to try to keep this very distinct so that you understand the teaching. When you are literally an extension of oneness consciousness itself, of the source of all creation itself, because that is what you are at your truth, at your core beingness. You are an extension of the light, of the creator of all that is, of the universe itself. We are all the same in that sense. We all come from the same stuff. And we are all here created and manifested in a physical form to have a human experience, earthly experience on this planet for a lifetime. Okay. And although there are rules and things when you come here and you're born here and you live a human life, you are still not just human. You are still the stuff that everything is made of. This planet, nature, the stars, the galaxies, the universes upon universes. You are also that. And they are also you. Do you understand? Because you are that powerful, the things that you create in a lifetime are incredibly powerful. And because we live in a system of enslavement, what our governments across the world, the powers that be, in this patriarchal, fucked up system of domination, hierarchy, and enslavement and oppression, you don't realize the power of your creations and how it goes against what you want to experience in your lifetime. You're fighting against yourself all of the time. You just don't realize it. This is part of authentic awakening, is realizing the power that you actually have and how you have been conditioned to use that power against yourself, so that you're constantly fighting against yourself, separation consciousness. So what does that mean? Because you're a powerful, powerful creator, you are the creator that created everything that exists. Do you understand that? You are an extension of that creator, of source of everything. That is part of what you are. You have that level of power. All right. So and I want you to remember that for the rest of this episode. Always defer back to that for the rest of this episode. That's who and what you are. Okay. So when you are that, and you are a young child being raised in this crazy, crazy society, I don't care where you're from on the planet, with all the separation and the hate and the, misogyny and the powerlessness and the oppression and the enslavement and all the things, okay, that people are waking up to and realizing now in this global mass awakening. When you're a child and you have parents who are completely unenlightened, completely unawakened, they're not aware of the world they live in. And so they're going to parent you in ways that, for a lot of you, not very pleasant, right? A lot of dysfunction, a lot of different levels of abuse, of neglect, of dismissiveness, of disengagement, et cetera, et cetera. It's not putting your parents down. This is the world that people are conditioned and brainwashed to show up as, very unawakened beings. And then the natural consequences are going to be your traumas because of that. That makes sense? It's never about judgment. It's never about blaming. It's never about pointing fingers. It is the way of truth. It is understanding the truth of a scenario so that you can heal and rise up out of that scenario and all of the programming that was created because of that scenario. Do you understand? So as a powerful, divine creator being that you are, that you always have been, even as a child, here's what happens. You create streams of consciousness that live through you as you, that are a part of who you are. That's the shadow self. That's the false self. But you're so divinely powerful, you create energies that exist and live through you. And those energies energy never dies. They continue to live through you, pretending to be you, influencing your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, your actions, your reactions to things. That's what's living through you. And that is usually the ugliest parts of who you are. The parts that you're embarrassed about, the parts that you are ashamed about, the parts that you try to hide and mask from people, pretend like that's not part of who you are. That's not the truth of who you are. But it's part of your shadow self. It's part of your human personality because you've created it that way. Again, you have to breathe and drop into your heart when you listen to this. Become the way of presence when you hear this so you can take in the true teaching here and get it at the deepest level. It's never about blaming you. It's not pointing a finger. It's understanding how powerfully you create and why, when you've been trying to heal and elevate, it seems so hard because energy never dies. So stay with me. If you had a moment in your childhood that was pretty traumatic, it was scary, it was awful. Maybe your parents, screamed at you, or there was some level of abuse or some incident that created a lot of trauma. And what was created in that moment was a lot of fear, and then maybe anger, and then maybe resentment. Maybe you realized you didn't live in a very safe household. It wasn't emotionally safe. Maybe it wasn't physically safe for you to live in your household. Maybe, experiences or levels of abuse, or, I'm trying to keep this, I don't need to give a lot of specifics. Just, I want you reflecting on your particular childhood. And if you had a lovely, lovely childhood, you still had moments in your life, whether it was at school or was it with teachers or neighbors or something, that were a little traumatic. You're human. Everybody goes through that. Okay. And you can also use, friends or loved ones as examples with this as well, that had a, challenging time. So whatever that was that you experienced, the energies that got created through that experience because of that experience, those are the programs, which are energies, your thoughts, mental programs. What did you start to think about the scenario? Oh no, this isn't safe around here. I'm not safe. So that fear, that mental program of I'm not safe. Oh no, I don't think my parents love me very much. I must not be worthy of love. Okay. These are where your programs start to get created in childhood. I'm bad. I'm always bad. So then you develop this innate belief deep inside of you that you're bad. And then what do you do to quote unquote prove that? Behaviorally, you show up as, you guessed it, bad. All the bad, terrible things you do to get in trouble. How much trouble did you get in? This is just one example. Now, the other side of the same coin is you become a perfectionist. You're the good kid. You're the good little girl, and he's the bad little boy. Two sides of the same damn coin. You see it? When you understand these programs and how they get created, and then you created, because you're a divinely powerful creator being, as a divine being who can create universes and galaxies and worlds, that's part of what you are. So in human form, you go through an experience that is unpleasant, that is scary, that is traumatic, that is abusive, that is whatever it is. You start to create the streams of consciousness that then live through you as you for the rest of your life, until you learn and awaken to energetics, to higher levels of consciousness, and realize I need to transform that energy that functions as bad, undeserving, fearful, powerless, etc., etc. Those are your programs, which are energetic frequencies, which are energetic streams of consciousness. You are literally, ready for this? Breathe. When you reinforce those programs, whatever they are for you, over and over and over again throughout your childhood, throughout your adulthood, when you reinforce those programs, what you have created is an entirely other stream of consciousness. You have created an entity that lives through you, that is attached to you. Now you have a better definition of multiple personality disorder. I'm going to tell you, if you're an unawakened person, if you're not fully healed yet, if you are not yet really high in your level of consciousness on the way to becoming an enlightened being, everyone has multiple personality disorder. These are the streams of consciousness that when you get triggered, there's the trigger. Oh, I'm triggered in something. Whatever is related to that trigger activates a stream of consciousness inside of you. That stream of consciousness includes a cluster of programs always. This particular person, that particular situation activates an entity inside of you that is the stream of consciousness, a personality. And maybe that particular personality is the people pleaser one. And that people pleaser entity, that people pleaser personality inside of you gets activated, triggered, shows up. And then all of your cluster of programs that created the people pleaser are all running all at one time. Your mental programs, your emotional programs, your behavioral programs, your inner child wounds, all of them, that's a cluster of programming. That cluster of programs is the stream of consciousness, or the entity that you created. So take a breath, and I'm going to take a step back. How many times have you been on your healing journey, trying to elevate and heal, become powerful? How many times has something triggered you, or someone triggered you, and all of a sudden it's like you don't know who you are anymore? I thought I healed this, and there you are in that depressive, anxiety-ridden, overwhelmed personality. Who is this? Where did she come from? Where did he come from? Why is he still here? Oh my God, I thought I healed this. How many of you can relate to that? And please, if you're watching this, on YouTube, drop it in the comments. How many of you can relate to that? Where it seems like you've done a lot of work. Maybe some of you've done a tremendous amount of work, a lot of healing, a lot of elevated levels that you've moved through. And then boom, oh my God, why is this still here? How is this still here? How many of you can relate to that? So I'm taking you on this journey of a higher level of spiritual teaching right now to understand, and this is an aspect of oneness consciousness, to understand you've created a stream of consciousness. It is no different than source creating a planet or source creating humans on the planet, or women taking source energy, because women are the only ones that can do this. Women taking source energy and combining that with physical matter inside of their own bodies, oneness consciousness, literally the human representation of what the creator is itself, creates life, grows life, births that life. Now, only biological women, obviously, can do that to that extent. But everybody, no matter who you are, man, biological woman, a transgendered person, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. None of that matters. All human beings have a degree, the ability to take absolutely nothing out of thin air, just energy, and create a life, so to speak, a stream of consciousness, an entity that represents and is an extension of themselves. There's your multiple personality. And I don't mean that as the clinical diagnosis of it, but if we talk real quick about the clinical diagnosis of multiple personality disorder and, what you see in movies and Hollywood and the extreme that they take it. And, one personality is it's a serial killer and the other personality is a blah, blah, blah. Okay. Those are extreme examples of it. But everybody has it to a degree. When you are functioning in separation consciousness still, you're not fully healed and whole. You are not a being yet of oneness consciousness. You will always have these sort of split personalities, the part of you that reacts to certain triggers, where you seem to have lost I don't know who I was when I did that. I lost myself there. Right? You ever had that feeling? Some of you can relate to that. You flip out, you lose your shit. You just get triggered, boom, you lose your shit. And no matter what that means, whether it's aggression, violence, screaming, attacking somebody verbally, physically, online. How do we see this? Oh my God. Constantly online. People feel so fucking brave behind their goddamn keyboards. They can type whatever they want and they think they're hurting you and harming you, or attacking you. And you're just, Jesus Christ. If this only affected me, right? And you're just fucking ignore the comments or delete them or ignore the email, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. That is their multiple personality, their stream of consciousness that they created because of their wounding and their trauma and their unhealed shit, their ego, their shadow self, all rolled into one. There's one of the personalities that come out. So when you can understand this and how this works energetically, okay, you've created a stream of consciousness, many of them, not just one. I'm just trying to keep it. This is a very complex, elevated spiritual teaching, and I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can for as complex as it actually is. You've created multiple entities, multiple streams of consciousness, multiple personalities, so to speak. Okay. You've created the clown personality, the class clown, to hide the fact that you feel so stupid and so insecure. If you were made, and it doesn't have to be on purpose. Parents they're unconscious beings. They're not enlightened. You were not raised by enlightened beings. So parents really fucked up. It's just the truth. Okay. And they might not have ever have meant in any way to cause harm, but the way that they reacted to something or handled something in your childhood maybe made you feel stupid. So you started to believe that you were stupid and you feel insecure You feel embarrassed or humiliated. You don't want other people to see how stupid you are. Do you understand this is just a stream of consciousness that then is being created? That you are actively creating based on how you felt in that one particular or numerous experiences. Do you understand? So you've created a stream of consciousness where you actually believe you're stupid. You're embarrassed about it. You're humiliated. You feel small. You feel, another program, inferior to others. You feel inferior in the presence of certain other people. And because of that, your compensatory strategy, your compensatory program that you develop could be become hilarious, class clown, loud, obnoxious, steal the show, all eyes on me, and all eyes on me. And I could be being obnoxious or stupid or funny or act out in class or do whatever because I feel like I'm in control. And if you're laughing at me, I caused that laughter. I chose to create the laughter now. And I don't feel stupid right now because I'm the one that made you laugh at me versus you laughing at me because I'm stupid or I didn't have the right answer. Do you understand? It's a compensatory program. All of those are clusters of programs that make up one aspect of our personality. That is that one stream of consciousness that has been created because you felt stupid and that went unhealed. It wasn't dealt with because you didn't have enlightened parents teaching you how to move through the energies of it, taking responsibility, having that first way of oneness, the way of responsibility, which includes developing an acute level of self-awareness of, oh, what did I just create? Oh, that was shitty. So now let me move through this with my child and teach my child how not to take this on as a wound or a program or a trauma. You didn't have that. So by default, you did take it on. It went unhealed. You didn't process it. You didn't understand it. You didn't see it as the way of truth. You didn't bring the way of compassion to it. You didn't know how to fix it or to fix it at all, the way of responsibility. You didn't bring harmlessness and gentleness to it instead of the pain and the trauma that you felt in the moment because you didn't know how. You didn't have the awareness of any of this stuff. Do you understand? So because of that, there's how your stream of consciousness got created. And then all of the other behavioral programs like the class clown and being stupid and being obnoxious and blah, blah, blah. All of that is to suppress the original wound, the emotion of, oh my God, that really hurt. I feel stupid. I'm stupid. Mental program, I'm stupid. Emotion, shame, embarrassment, behavior program. Maybe you shut down, lowered your head, looked down at the ground, but a behavioral program that developed over time, class clown, loud, obnoxious. You see it? This is how this stuff works. Isn't it fascinating? And these are the things that we teach you how to figure out at Masters of Self University, in our coaching programs, in our classes. Because when you understand, you actually understand how energy works like this, that you are so powerful. You are so powerful that you are creating streams of consciousness that then live through you forever. Energy never dies. And when you are not, look, when you're doing modalities of just, energy healing or even plant medicine, or it doesn't mean those things are wrong or bad. Talk therapy. I mean, talk therapy is honestly, that is the one thing that I'll say. Just stop wasting your time. Just quit wasting your time and money. But all these other modalities that you use, which again, don't misinterpret my teachings. I don't want to hear in the fucking comments, you are saying other modalities are shit. I didn't fucking say other modalities are shit. I am teaching you why you've done 500 other modalities. And although you see beautiful things and some improvements, why does your shit always come back? Because you don't understand how powerful you are. You're the one that created that stream of consciousness based on your life experiences and your traumas and the things that were very disturbing and painful to you that you did not know in the moment that you're a divine, powerful creator being And in this human experience, you have to learn how to process this type of energy and create something with it, create something powerful and loving and beautiful and expansive and more divine from it. You didn't know that at the time. And so by default, what you did create instead, powerlessness, fear, sabotage, anger, rage programs, behavioral programs that are shit, et cetera, et cetera. Do you understand? That's what happened. You have an entity living in you. You have many of them. You can call every stream of consciousness with their particular cluster of programs a personality, an entity, because energetically that is what it is. And none of those are the truth of what you actually are. They're only a result of the things, the streams of consciousness that you manifested, that you created out of nothing, because that's how powerful you are. You just created the things that you didn't realize you didn't want to create at the time because you didn't have the wisdom, the way of wisdom. You didn't have the other ways of oneness. You weren't the ways of oneness yet. You didn't have that awareness. You didn't have that level of truth, that level of divine sight, that level of wisdom, the way of wisdom to understand what was actually happening. Now you're being given the awareness, the wisdom, the truth. So those streams of consciousness that are playing out as entities, as part of your personality, they need to be understood how they work and function, how they got created, number one. And then you need to learn how to work with energy in a very different way. And I'm not talking about quote unquote energy healing or energy modalities. Those are all beautiful and fun and lovely and wonderful and fantastic, and absolutely sometimes other energy healing modalities can be magnificent to add to the work that you're doing on yourself. Of course. But when you actually understand energetics and how energies truly work, and that you are a creator, a divine creator like the creator itself, you are creating things that come alive, that never die because energy never dies. That's how powerful you are. So the parts of you that are wounded, that are unhealed, that are ugly, that are judgmental, that project onto others, all the ugly shit in there, when you realize, oh my God, I'm such a powerful being. I created all this shit. And look at how, quote unquote, hard it is to heal it or change it or fix it or blah. It's because that's how powerful you are. So if you just come and learn how to connect as the way of purity to the light that you are, to the divinity in the way of purity without all this other contamination in the way, all these other streams of consciousness that you've created over the years in your lifetime. If you learn how to connect and expand and become and create more of the streams of consciousness inside of yourself that are the universal ways of oneness, there are 20 of them. There's plenty to learn how to become, how to create, how to have flow through you, that you become, they become you, and you become them. That's oneness. And the more you learn how to do that and work with energy in these very elevated ways, these very high levels of frequencies, you can then take those denser, uglier streams of consciousness and you can alchemize them, you can transform them into the light of oneness itself. That's what you learn in our programs at Masters of Self University. That's what you learn how to do step by step. Okay. So if you understand your streams of consciousness, why it can seem so hard to change or heal or elevate or get out of the old programming. Oh, I'm still stuck in scarcity. I'm still stuck in blah, 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 blah. When you understand energetics and how it actually works and how you're creating it, and you are so often fighting a battle, a war within yourself, you just don't know it. Simply because, oh my God, when the depression hits, when the anxiety comes, oh, I just don't want it to be here. You're fighting yourself. That is a war. You're strengthening those quote unquote negative programs, those streams of consciousness, that part of your personality, those entities that are alive. You're fighting them, which locks them in. Instead of learning how to embrace them, pull them in from a higher, more elevated frequency, the truth of what you are, and transforming them more and more into the actual truth of what you are. All of those beautiful ways of oneness that you're learning how to become. Isn't that beautiful? Because you are so powerful, you have the power to alchemize and heal all of it. But why they seem so locked and so strong and hard to get rid of, the parts of us, oh, my mind just can't, I can't turn on my mind. Blah. Because you are so powerful, you've created a level of power that is so fixed in there that it seems really hard. How can that change? Add the world being what it is, all the brainwashing and the propaganda and the fear mongering and all the things to keep you low and negative so that you can be easily enslaved and more brainwashed and more enslaved and sick and more enslaved and more brainwashed and weak and powerless. You add all of that. Yeah, there is a lot to transform into to change yourself, your life, your relationships, and this world. That's why I call this warrior's work. It truly is. It doesn't mean you can't do it. You have the power to do anything you want. Do you have the wisdom? That's the difference. There's no such thing as you not having the power to heal, to elevate, to rise, to transform your entire life from the inside out, and in effect, because this is oneness, the whole world. You can help change the entire world, not just your own life. By changing your own life, healing yourself, and leveling up, you help to change the entire planet. We are one. Do you understand? And because of that, focus on yourself first. You are so powerful. Just because you're powerful doesn't mean you have the way of wisdom, knowing how to do it. There's a difference. Just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean you don't have the power inside of you to accomplish it. You see it? That's where we come in at Masters of Self University. That's where these teachings come in to help you gain the wisdom in order to understand and know how to transform all of these things. Those streams of consciousness that are a part of you were created, and they're only a part of you because you haven't yet learned how to alchemize those energy and create a different type of stream of consciousness. You can create anything you want. You just have to learn exactly how and have the level of spiritual education, mystical education, in order to accomplish what you would like to accomplish and be successful with it. Leave your comments below. Make sure you share this with everyone you know. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. And go visit mastersofselfuniversity.com and schedule a free consultation so that we can guide you on the levels of help and elevation and teachings that we have to offer. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.